Hey everyone, today I just want to show you my very simple and tileable trading hall layouts. This trading hall is smart in a way that it will have a circuit for each cell, which will trigger a number of things depending if there's a villager inside of it or not. And you can align it in whatever way you want. You can have a very long hall of villagers, or you can have it in a square shape like this to take into account the villager queuing discounts, which is something new in 1.16, and it is pretty amazing. And yeah, as you can see, it does look pretty cool and it is fairly straightforward. So how you operate this trading hall is really straightforward. You just get your villagers from wherever, which should be of course really far away because otherwise it will interfere with this trading hall, and you get them into a minecart on this rail line right here. When they are in a minecart, you just push them along, and the circuits will automatically detect whenever a cell is empty, and it will lock the villager in place. And once the villager is in place, you can of course place your workstation to give the villager the proper profession. Once the villager is inside of its cell, you can take a look at its traits, and let's say you don't like the traits, for example Smite 5 for 64 emeralds, that's probably the worst trait you can get. You just break and place back the workstation, and well, you get a new trait, Protection 2 for 9 emeralds, not too good either, but you can just shuffle the traits like that, and eventually you will get something good. And if you want to get discounts on all of the villagers, you just simply cure the zombie villager in the center. And how this works is that once you cure a zombie villager, all villagers within a vicinity of 16 blocks out from where the zombie villager was cured, so that is about a 32 times 32 times 32 box, every villager will get a discount. It will wear off over time, but you can always just cure him again, because what we have here is just one zombie and one zombie villager stuck in the same cell. So once the zombie villager is cured, it will just get turned into a zombie villager again. So you simply cure a zombie villager by throwing a splash potion of weakness at him, and then you give him a golden apple, and he will cure over time. You can see that he is shaking, and once he gets cured, all of the villagers will receive a discount. There we go, as you can see he got cured, and all of the villagers within the vicinity should have gotten a discount. So let's take a look, and 1 emerald, that's great. So yeah, that is how the discount works, and it is pretty awesome. Very important, however, make sure that your world difficulty is on hard, because if it is not on hard, then there's a chance that your villager in the center will die upon getting converted by the zombie. Alright, let's just take a look at a 1 white section of the actual modules. Now this is not 1 white tileable because we're using dust and we needed to face inside that block in order to power both the activator rail and the trapdoor, but it is 2 white tileable, so you just space them out by 1 block each. And it is fairly simple, we just have a pod in here, and when the villager falls in here by being ejected from the minecart, it just gets stuck because of course the trapdoor closes and it will keep on pressing the pressure plate. The pressure plate powers the piston, and the piston unpowers the torch. This is a Bedrock edition exclusive redstone mechanic, and yeah, this is pretty useful for compacting. The piston pushing doesn't really do anything, it's just to unpower the torch to, well, unpower the trapdoor and the activator rail. But it is pretty effective, as you will be able to tell, so we can just place some power rails right here, we place our minecart here, and we have a villager in here, and once we push it right here, it just falls right into the pod and, well, it gets stuck, and that's perfect, that's exactly what we want. And from the front we can just access all of its traits, and because there is a slab, we will of course prevent any baby zombies from getting in there, because you know, having a baby zombie kill all of your villagers would certainly not be very good. So let's get on with the tutorial. So I will first be showing you how to build a single module and how to tile it, and by that I mean expanding it of course, and then I will just show you how to build this setup in particular. As for materials, I'm not really going to do an exact materials list for either, because it really depends on your needs and you might make it smaller or bigger. But for one cell, this is the approximate materials that you are going to need. Of course, you can use any type of trapdoor, pressure plate, glass, and salt blocks and whatnot, but yeah, this is pretty much what you need. Now something very important now is to make sure that you're far away enough from any villager contraption. So you would need to be 96 blocks horizontally and 76 blocks vertically from any villager contraption. If you're interested, however, in making a combo iron farm trading hall, I will have a video on that soon. Alright, let's start by building a very compact trading hall for, let's say, 8 villagers. So we're just going to have it 17 long, and the reason for that is that we want 8 times 2 plus 1, and that is very simple. So we're just going to have some pressure plates every second block, and that way we have enough space to, well, encase the villagers properly. Now next up, we just want to place our pistons. You can place them downwards, that's a little complicated, or sidewards. Only thing you don't want to do is to place them upwards, because, well, there is stuff there. You could have obsidian, but honestly it's not worth it when you could just have it sidewards. Or you don't want it facing outwards either, because of course you need a torch here, and that will just not work. So we are just going to have them all facing in one direction, and that is pretty simple. So we just have that, and then we just place some torches on the backside. Then we just have some little L shapes on top of the pistons, and that is just quite simply to have the torch power that block, which is going to of course power some dust, which we get over here. And what we do then is that we get our blocks and place them just like this, and some temporary blocks. We're just going to pick glass so that we can place some workstations here later. Now you get yourself some slabs, and you're going to place them right here. Then some more solid blocks right on top of the slabs. Just connect these little L shapes that we built before to make, well, a stripe like this, and place some activator rails right where the dust is. Now on the sides of these solid blocks, we're just going to place some redstone torches, and that is just so that we can actually power the powered rails. That way the minecarts will keep going when we push them in there. Now get some trapdoors facing this way on the side of the solid blocks that are on top of the slabs, and just open them every time you place them. Because, well, technically they should be opened by the redstone dust, but because we placed them when it's already powered, it won't work. If you're using, let's say, iron trapdoors, and, well, you can't just manually afflict them, then it's easy to just, well, break the dust and place it back, and it will just open. But for me, a lazy guy, I will just manually place the trapdoors and then open them. Next, we just need to fill in some gaps with solid blocks so that, well, the villagers don't go everywhere. So you just want to fill in these blocks, and then also like this. So these are, of course, the blocks in between the tiles, and that just makes sure that the water doesn't spill everywhere and that the villagers don't escape all over the place. Then what you want to do is waterlock all of the pressure plates. This is so that the villagers do not unlink. This is a trick discovered by Oara TV. It goes uncredited a lot, but he was the person that originally found it. And, well, I think it is great because that is something very important used in a lot of villager tech nowadays. Now just take some glass, and you want to place glass on top of every single activator rail, and then just right here. You can also use solid blocks, but you know me, I like using glass for a lot of things, but yeah, that should work just fine. And then to make sure that the villagers do indeed escape on the proper side, or will get ejected on the proper side, we just place some solid blocks on the back side of the glass, that way they do get out of the front here. Alright, let's just get ourselves a side where we want to input the villagers. Let's say this side, just to make it simple. And now we want to get the actual villagers in place. Now that you made sure that you're far away enough from any villager contraption, you are just going to place one minecart, and one villager gets the villager in the minecart and push it, and as you can see, it will get stuck right in here. Now what you want is to place your bed, because we need one bed to create a village. A village will be created when there is one bed and one villager. Just for the villager to link to the bed, you want to break one block so that it sort of has, you know, line of sight, and it did link, I believe, so we can close that back up. And we are just going to place our first workstation because, well, why not? So let's just place that, and he should link any seconds. Let's just wait for it, and there we go. So yeah, that is our first villager, and he has mending. That's pretty cool. Now you have to listen carefully for this part, because what you do not want to do is place any workstations before you got your villagers in place. So the way you slowly want to start building up your trading hall is by placing the next profession block of the next trades that you want. So just replace the temporary block and place your workstation or your profession block, and then we're just going to place one villager, and we'll of course get him in a minecart and whatnot, and he will get inside of his cell and linked there. You don't want to place all of the workstations first or place all of the villagers first, because then there will be a tedious process of finding out to which workstation which villager linked, and then you have to break it and put it in front of the proper villager. So yeah, you just don't want to do that because it is stupidly annoying. Alright, then you just go on with your business of placing villagers and minecarts and pushing the minecarts, and they automatically all get straight into their cells. And yeah, that's great. That's pretty much the trading hall in its most simple form. Alright, now that we have the simple layout done, I'm going to show you how to build this square layout that is useful for making use of the villager curing discount. So you want to first start this off by finding the corners of a chunk. And well, that is because when entities travel across chunk borders and are then unloaded, there's a chance that they might be deleted. And what we don't want is that the zombie villager and the zombie in the center gets deleted, because that would not be good. But those are less of a concern because they will not be able to cross chunk borders when they are stuck in their cells. Alright, so like I said, you want to find your four corners of your chunk. I have a chunk visualizer resource pack installed, but that is not necessarily available on all platforms. So I have linked a video guide that I made in the description on how to find chunk borders. And yeah, that will show you how to find chunk boundaries no matter on what platform you are playing. So once you found the four corners of your chunk, you want to go by 4 on every corner, or well, on the 2 sides of every corner. So 4 blocks always, and that way we're just going to determine our proper size of our trading hall. Now one layer of our trading hall is going to have 48 villagers, and what you need to keep in mind is that you don't want to go above 64 villagers in your trading hall, because that is the maximum POI queue from my understanding, and going above that could be problematic. Either way, we're just going to have an outline going all the way around, and it is fairly simple, so just place some solid blocks. You can get rid of the little L shapes. So we're just going to add one more ring of solid blocks, and this is where the villagers are going to be standing. You can also add a third ring of solid blocks now. Alright, so now it should look like this. What we're going to do now is get some blocks that are going to be temporary blocks to place where the workstations are going to be. So you can really use anything. You can use dirt, I guess, but I'm just going to use these blocks. And you're going to want to place 6 space outs by 1 block, starting from here, this corner part. So we just have 6, I believe, like this. And then you do the same here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this starting from every corner going outwards. Now behind every one of those temporary blocks, just place a pressure plate. Now likewise, behind every single one of those pressure plates, you just want a piston facing sideways like this, facing outwards. You do this behind every pressure plate, and well, that will be exactly what you want. Now just place a torch on the back side of every piston. Next up, just build up that little L shape on top of each piston that we already showed before. Now on top of every temporary block, just place one bottom slab and one salt block. Now it's a good idea to fill in the salt blocks in between each tile so that the villagers don't get out. And basically for the corners, you just have a little L shape that goes up like this, and in between each normal tile, you just have some salt blocks like this. Alright, at this point, just grab your water buckets and waterlog these pressure plates, and then place a trapdoor just like this. Next up, we're just going to decide where our input for our villagers is and where our output is. So quite simply, we're just going to have our input right here, and well, we're just going to connect all of the top of those L shapes to have a ray line on there later. So let's just do that, and around the corners, of course, it's very simple. You just make a turn like this, and yeah, just connect these blocks up. And when you reach the end again, you can make a little turn that we're going to hook up to a cactus later to collect all of the minecarts that are empty. Now just put redstone dust on each one of these protruding blocks, and that will open the trapdoors. Now just get some activator rails, pod rails, and you need only 4 rails or even less for the entire loop. And we're just going to place activator rails whenever there's a trapdoor or, well, redstone dust, and otherwise a pod rails. So yeah, that is pretty straightforward. It should look more or less like this. Now we're just going to place some blocks on every second block around where the trapdoors are. This prevents the villagers from getting out into spaces you don't want them to. Then on top of every activator rail, place a piece of glass, and behind that piece of glass, place a solid block. With that done, we're just going to get our torches in place in order to power all of those pod rails, so that, you know, well, the villagers keep going inside of the minecart, and basically just place a torch on every one of those blocks. When there's a 2-block gap, you only need 1 torch because, well, the one pod rail will power the other. Otherwise, just keep on placing torches. Alright, so now that we're back at our input-output corner, we're just going to expand this by 3 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, and make sure that it is 3 blocks because we don't want this redstone dust powering the hopper that is going to collect the minecarts. Just place 3 rails just like this, very simple, and have a double chest on this side, or I guess you can also have it on that side to make things simpler. Then just get a solid block in order to support the sand so that it doesn't fall. Just have the cactus here. And what you can have then is just some glass blocks. And those glass blocks will just prevent the minecart from flowing all over the place. And it should, most of the time, if not all the time, land inside this hopper and then inside this chest. Functionally, this trading hall is done. However, there's some small things you might want to add. First one would be to just add a ring of solid blocks around the inside, and then add some slabs so that you can actually access the villagers, so that you can easily get up here and, well, access the villagers that are inside of their pods. Second, of course, is that we want the zombie curing system. So you're just going to go from one of the corners that we found before, and you go inwards by 8 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you go inwards towards this direction by 7 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You remove all those other blocks, and then you just have your center 4 blocks if you add the other ones. What you do then is just get some slabs, or any block really, and you just have some more solid blocks, and you need solid blocks in order to prevent the zombie from burning. Of course, you can also add a roof to this training hall. In fact, you can decorate this training hall however way you want. Don't place any villagers in here yet, that part comes later. And third, you probably want a way to get in and out of your trading hall, because you have probably noticed that there is no way to get in and out currently. So the easiest way would just be to have a little tunnel that goes under and will back out, and that would be fairly easy. But alternatively, what you can also do is punch a hole right into this space. But what you're going to want to do is get something like a button, or well, 2 buttons, and then some trapdoors that you place right here. The reason why we can't have any trapdoors at the heights of the pressure plates is because, of course, those will get powered. And make sure to never press those buttons, because then they would close. But of course, if they're normal trapdoors, you can just open them up again. And I guess that could be a functional exit, but it is kind of ugly. So I would still go with the option of going under the entire thing. Now for the first villager, we want a bed, and we don't need any beds for the following villagers, but we do need a bed for the first villager, because in order for a village to be created, and we do need a village, we're going to need 1 villager and 1 bed. The consequent villagers don't really need a bed. So we're just going to grab our minecart and our villager, get the villager inside of the minecart and push it, and the villager will get right into his cell. Now what you want to do is just leave him there and then go somewhere around here in the backside and place a bed. And then just punch out a block. This will break the torch, but that's not really a big deal, and he will link to the bed. Then just place that block back and then place the torch back. And on the front side, you do want to place the workstation of your choice, and he will link to it properly. You will see green particles. Now this part is a little tedious and you have to listen carefully. The way you want to gradually increase the amount of villagers in your trading hall is by adding one station and one villager. You cannot add all stations at once and then all villagers at once, or all villagers at once and then all stations at once. You can do that actually, but it will be very tedious to find out which workstation belongs to which villager. So it is definitely not recommended. So what you just want to do is place the next workstation that you want the villager to acquire, and then you get back up here and you just get your villager. Then you get your next minecart, your next villager, and you just push them right into there, and they will fall into their cell, and they will of course link to that workstation. And then you rinse and repeat, just place one new workstation, place one new minecart, villager, go in there, and well, they will all fall in there and link. If your villager has a trait that you don't like, let's say for example he has a boring old bookshelf, you can just break his workstation and place it back, and he will get a new trait. And you do it as long as you get a trait that you like, and yeah, it's basically just rinse and repeat. Anyways, once you got all of your workstations and all of your villagers in place, we can actually place the zombie and the villager in the center. Now normally this would not be necessary because we could just place a nitwit in the center, and well, he would not be able to claim anything that would interfere with the other villagers, but there currently is a bug that when a zombie converts a villager, it will change profession. So if it is a nitwit, he will actually gain a profession apparently, and that is a bug, although it could be considered useful. However, for the zombie conversion, there's one thing you need to keep in mind. The world's difficulty needs to be on hard. If it is not on hard, then there will be a chance that the villager will die when the zombie attacks it, and it will not just be converted. Anyways, what you need to do is to place a normal villager inside of the middle, and well, the zombie will turn it into a zombie villager. Once it is a zombie villager, you can throw a splash potion of weakness at the zombie villager and then just give him a golden apple, and that will start the conversion process. The conversion process takes a little while, but yeah, once the conversion is done, you will have a significant discount on all of the villagers, which will last several hours. So yeah, that is pretty much the entire trading hall video, and this is more or less everything you need to know. I will also make a video on how to put an iron farm on top of this trading hall, that way you don't need to keep them separate, and well, you can utilize the villagers in this trading hall for an iron farm. And yeah, I also have Old Guy's channel linked in the description. The reason for that is that Old Guy is pretty much the expert when it comes to Minecraft Bedrock villager mechanics, and he has a lot of useful videos on his channel, including also a video on trading halls. So yeah, definitely go give it a watch, and it is very much recommended to check his channel out. And with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this little tutorial. It is nothing really special, it is fairly simple, but nonetheless it is pretty useful. And well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, it helps a lot, and well, I will see you around. Bye!